Hey, this is Mike at Fancy Foam Models. I wanted to do a short video talking about the new Mega SST Lite. This is the latest model that we've come out with on the SST line. This model is about, I think it has about 30% more wing area than the standard SST. And so that brings us to 4 models total. So the original SST, super ultralight, flying in super light conditions. We then came out with the FSST for fast SST. It was built out of heavier 1.9 pound foam and built more for combat. Then we came out with the Mega, which is our 35 ounce larger size SST, again about 30% larger than the SST original or the FSST. So the original Mega comes in right around 35 ounces. Locally, that's our max for combat. Very fast plane in similar conditions, flying around, maintaining height. It's probably 8 or 10 mile an hour faster than the other combat wings I was flying with. At 35 ounces, that puts it about 15 to 20 ounces heavier than the typical combat plane. Most combat planes are 16, 18 ounces, something like that, at least locally. So a big weight advantage as far as being able to maintain energy through hits and so forth. As with the original SST, the recovery is very good with it. Now the 35 ounce SST is for, good conditions or better. In order to accommodate lighter conditions, we did the light version of the Mega SST. So my model here, I came in at 18.5 ounces. That's with a 700 milliamp 2-cell LIFE battery. I built a second one for a friend. With that one, we went with a 5-cell nickel metal hydride battery, which was heavier. And on mine, the 18.5 ounce, I did have to add some nose weight to get it at the 10-inch center of gravity. On the other one I built, it did not need any nose weight and actually ended up just a little bit nose heavy. I think about 3/8 of an inch forward of the 10-inch CG. And he's right at 20 ounces. So just that bigger battery pack gave it a little more nose weight, and which the slightly forward CG will be fine on that. And I may end up adding a little more nose weight to mine. I'll probably play with that a little bit just to see the flying characteristics, especially in combat. For flying with the slightly forward CG. So far, flying it at the 10-inch CG, I'm really liking the aerobatic performance. It's definitely going to roll and loop better with a little bit further aft CG. And that might be something I might play with a little bit. Leadfeather and I which Dan Leadfeather he designed the original SST, and I helped him with the development of that. Part of that was being able to do a 90-degree deflection on the elevon to get it to tumble. And so in talking, he's curious if the Mega will do a tumble. So I've sent a kit out to him, and he's going to play with that a little bit. I'm going to do a little experimentation on mine, and so I also may play with moving that CG back a little bit to see if it'll tumble, to see at what point we can get it to do that. So that might be interesting on the aerobatic side. Being at 18 to 20 ounces, we're still going to be kind of in that good range as far as comparable to the other combat wings. As far as having the kinetic energy and being able to put that energy into a hit on another airplane. The difference being with the 30-inch more or 30% more area, it's going to fly a lot lighter. And so we'll see how that plays out on the combat events. But I think it's still really fast. It accelerates really quickly. A nice thin airfoil. So even with the larger cord, the thickness is about similar to the smaller, more typical combat wings. So this flies very fast, accelerates quickly, gets on step quickly, but at the lighter weight, it slows down a lot more. It recovers a lot quicker. I can do aerobatics at a lot slower speed, or I can, let it get the speed going and do the bigger aerobatics that I do with the heavier 35 ounce. So anyways, some of the construction on this, the mega kits are all going to come with the semi-flex goldenrod that goes through the wings so that it keeps a real low profile. Half-A control horns that are easy to replace. So I'll take spares with me, so all it takes is a little screwdriver. If I break a horn in combat, and I can put another one on. One of the difference, and to get the weight, a couple differences to get the weight down. So the 35 ounce is 1.9 pound foam and 5 mil covering. On mine, I've actually got, it's a single layer in the back. I ended up, for probably the front third, I've actually got 3 layers on this leading edge of the 5 mil. So it's very hard, very stiff. And then the coroplast elevons. To lose weight on this plane, we went from, on the 35 ounce, I've got a 2 millimeter spar top and bottom. On this one, we went down to 1.5. We're using 3 mil covering. I've only got 2 layers at the leading edge, and that just wraps about 1 inch on either side. Whereas on the heavier one, I went about 30% back as far as the triple layer, the double and triple layer. This one's single layer, 3 mil all the way up to the front, and then I just do 1 inch or so wraparound, just to give some durability on that. And then the tips are shared with the original SST. These are EPP tips. So they do flex, but with the 3 mil covering, it makes them plenty stiff for combat, for normal flight, aerobatics, that kind of stuff. Now for durability, on the lightweight, I do supply 1 foot of 5 mil. And so, the nose is going to take the brunt of the punishment on this, especially hitting the ground, but also contacting a lot of the planes. You'll get a lot of contact out here, but the majority of it, a lot of it's going to be right here on the nose. And with the gear in the front, you want that extra stiffness. So I've got probably the front 5 inches, and then out as wide as the covering would go, is the 3 mil underneath with about 1 inch or so overlap on the leading edge, and then wrapped with 5 mil going back at about 5 inches on the top and bottom. So this whole nose section is going to be the 3 mil with 5 mil on top. And that stiffens it up quite a bit. It helps add some rigidity and structure to the foam and should make it a lot more durable up in front. Radio gear wise, I'm using, they're a little bit smaller than a standard servo, not much. The high-tech HS322 heavy duty. It's a nylon gear servo, but I found that these work really well for combat. They're very durable. Got those two mounted on either side of the battery bay. On this one, I've got my 700 milliamp pack, and then there's actually a lead slug just right in front of the battery pack under the cover here, and that's for my nose weight. And then the back side of this, I've got that hinged with the coroplast, and then I've got my receiver in there, 4-channel, 6-channel, whatever. And so it sits down in there, and then I just plug the battery straight into the receiver. So I don't have a switch or anything like that I have to worry about with combat. I'll just plug that in when I'm ready to go. Pop that down. This is kind of a press fit, so that holds pretty good. I'll probably go ahead and put some tape on that so I don't have to worry about that popping open during combat. And then the stripes, the original one, I did this, what I call a high-vis camo, and I had it the same top and bottom. When I was flying it, I didn't have any trouble knowing which was the top side of the airplane, which was the bottom. It messed with everyone else, which was kind of fun, because just watching me fly it, they were having a hard time keeping track what was up, what was down. And I do like doing a lot of inverted and right side up flying and just transitioning between those with rolls. But, you know, I also like high vis. So I decided on the bottom, this is the bottom, to just get some of the really bright trim coat and put a couple big stripes on mine. That separates top and bottom. If I do take my eye off my plane, which I tend to do in combat, that'll help me figure, for sure which one is my plane, which one's right side up, which side's right side up, upside down, that kind of stuff. So anyways, if you have any questions on the plane, put a comment on the video, shoot me an email, shoot me a Facebook message, something like that. Anyways, I'm really excited to do this. Now that fall's here, we get a lot of northwest wind, which is great for a local lake dam, and so we fly off of that quite a bit. Probably don't combat there. We'll do that at our normal hill later or further away, but I'm really excited to do some lighter wind acro with this, and I'll be sure to try to get some video of that. So anyways, I know I've had a few people ask about the spars on this, kind of typical for the combat wings. I did want to cover that quickly on what I do for my spar. I like using these large size T-pins, and so what I'll do is I'll grab my carbon rod and I'll throw 3 T-pins on the into the foam. So this first one, I put it right about just behind the CG. So I do about 10.5 inches back, and I'll stick a T-pin in here. And that's not going to hurt anything on this plane. Out near the tip, I come in about 6 inches from the tip, and then from the leading edge back about 5 inches. And I'll put a T-pin in there. And then the same on the other side. I'll put a T-pin in there. And then I just take the rod and curve it with the T-pins holding it in place. Behind the T-pins that are further out, in front of the center T-pin. And then I just let the natural curve of the carbon rod in there. And then what I'll do is take my knife, if I can figure out where I put it. These are the little clicky knives from AFES, are the best knife ever for cutting EPP. So anyways, I'll just shorten the blade up. And you don't have to go very deep, maybe 1/4 inch. And I'll cut maybe 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch in front or behind the spar, whichever is more convenient. And I'll just cut a slit just going near the spar and follow it all the way around. You could draw on there, but that'll leave an ink mark. I don't really like doing that. And so I just try to, fairly close to the spar. I'll just carefully, just real slow, nice and easy, follow that spar around. A lot of times, I'll usually keep a finger, on the spar to keep it from lifting up or moving. Just let it hold it in place. I'll cut a little bit, and then I'll cut a little bit, and cut a little bit, and just work my way around. So that's how I mark my spar location. Again, about 10.5 in the center, about 6 inch in from the tip. Get that where you can see that. About 6 inches in from the tip. And let's say about 4.5 to 5 inches from the leading edge, just straight back from the leading edge there. The spar, it's roughly centered in the part of the wing that is not part of the control surface. So from the hinge line to the leading edge, it's about halfway at the center and at the outside edges. So anyways, that's what I do on the spar. Makes it nice and easy. The spar adds a lot of strength to it. So between the covering and the spar, this plane is real durable. Almost no flex. This thing is very stiff, very rigid. But I'm very excited about both of these. Again, big difference in the stiffness of the foam and in the weight of these two. 1.9 pound covered in 5 mil, 1.3 pound covered in 3 mil. But very excited about these planes. So if you're interested in the combat plane, I urge you to check this out. I think you'd be very happy with it. Thanks.